Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm going to talk about the Chariot today. This was probably one of the first song choices I made when I even thought about making this deck. It seems like a really natural choice, but I've only just made the card. Right, I think we'll start with, so I'm just going to quickly talk about some other decks first. This is the Pointner Tarot. It is a Marseille deck, but it's very sort of playful. It's Marseille deck with a twist, if you like. And it's shown the traditional Marseille image of the charioteer in his chariot with his two horses. And it's a little bit of a static image in some decks. It can feel, I mean, certainly it feels old-fashioned because we don't have chariots around. And I suppose the modern equivalent is the car, you could say, or especially the race car, because that's the idea of the risk, not knowing what's ahead, the danger. The only thing I would say, the problem I have with that is that a car is a machine. It is fairly predictable. It is, we are in charge, the driver is in charge. The point about the Chariot, I feel, is the fact that you have got these two animals, these two creatures with minds of their own, these two forces that the charioteer has to control or coax, if you like. I really like this one. This is from the Painted Tarot, and there's a lovely sense of movement. She seems to be on a horse. Maybe she's with other horses or racing with other horses. I'm not sure. I like the fact there's the moon in the background, which maybe suggests a long journey, the need for persistence. We don't always get what we want straight away. So there's that determination that's required too. And then this one you have here is from the Margarete Peterson. And I think these are like cats. There's maybe even is this a panther? But again, we're not completely in charge. Maybe there's forces even within ourselves or outside forces that always have some influence on what we do. And the charioteer this is very much like the sun card in this deck. The charioteer is like in this ball of energy and yeah, almost maybe a danger of being taken over by this energy and doing something rash. I like this is from Next World Tarot because it has a very fresh perspective and very different. I also love with this deck, so I bring it a bit closer, but I love with this deck that we have so clearly the astrological correspondences. And I think the astrological correspondence of Cancer here is really interesting. I have a few signs in Cancer in my birth chart. I've got Mercury and Saturn in Cancer actually. And having thought about the Chariot and how that relates to my birth chart, it's really helped me to get a new perspective. I tended to think, I think, before of Cancer as, you know, the crab, as quite a cautious energy. And they're self-protective. Maybe they cling to the past, all those things that we tend to read about Cancer. But it's a cardinal sign, which means it is active. And I was also thinking about when I make decisions, and I'm a Gemini, so I can get stuck in my head. And if I'm making a decision from like a mental space, from a head space, I think that is when I can weigh up pros and cons, and you know, I can do that forever. I can overanalyze. But when I make a decision from my heart, from my emotions, I think that is a really powerful place to decide from. So you decide and then you act, which is obviously the important part of the Chariot. But there is a power, there's a different power, I think, from choosing something from our heart rather from our head. So you can see there's been quite a lot of silver foil involved in this card, which is very messy. I almost regret using it, but I quite like how it's come out with this card. So this is from the Hounds of Love album, and it is The Big Sky. So I think even if you ignore the lyrics to this song, there is something about the energy of this card that just, it's that propulsion, isn't there, that's propelling you forward. And that optimism, I think, that is there in the Chariot. We see the Chariot as a card. We see him or her, you know, we see them there, but we're looking at the Chariot. We don't know what the Chariot is looking at. And I think of the Chariot as looking at this big expanse, this horizon is expanding before them. You know, this new opportunities. That's what the big sky represents to me as a phrase. This isn't from the video. I will link the video. But I think it's around, this photo was taken around the same time as the Hounds of Love album. I like that idea of her shooting into the sky, that focus required. And I think it's the Wildwood Tarot, which I don't have, unfortunately, otherwise I would have shown it, that also uses the Archer for the Chariot. So there's that idea of, it's I suppose it's like ambition in a way, and it's focus, and that idea of kind of shooting forward our heart's desire. I suppose you could think of the Cupid connection with that, couldn't you, as well? And you know, the object of our heart's desire isn't just, might not just be a lover or a partner. It might be, you know, something we love, anything we love. So there's that aspect of the song. What Kate Bush, I'll just quickly say what Kate Bush says about the song. So she says, and this is from the Kate Bush Encyclopedia, she says, "Someone sitting looking at the sky, watching the clouds change. I used to do this a lot as a child, just watching the clouds go into different shapes. I think we forget these pleasures as adults. We don't get as much time to enjoy those kind of things or think about them. We feel silly about what we used to do naturally. The song is also suggesting the coming of the next flood, how perhaps the fools on the hill will be the wise ones." And this, I think, is the reference in the song to God talking to Noah, and Noah then responding to that. And in the video, you get this sense of this community being galvanized to act. They've sensed something is wrong and they're going to take action. And as a teenager, my favourite line from this song, the one I always loved, was, "You never understood me, you never really tried." And I've said it elsewhere, that Kate Bush is an advocate, if you like, for the perspective of the outsider, and rejoicing at our differences, I think. I chose, this is the last line, "walking out in the big sky," because that felt to me the moment of action. I kept thinking, well, is walking a chariot? Surely they should be rushing. But then I thought, no. And, you know, that's also why I love this card too. Because when we feel confident, when we trust things are going to be okay, I think we don't rush. I think impatience is often to do with distrust, to do with worry and anxiety. And there's something very powerful about seeing someone step out, walk out, or if you think of like a protest march or something, you know, the power of someone slowly strolling through, being seen and making a point. So it's a lovely song. I absolutely love this song, and it's, you know, Chariot's a fantastic card too. Let me know, as always, what you think, and if you can think of any other songs, what you know, and also maybe if you've got Cancer in your birth chart, how you see that energy. Thanks as always for watching and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.